there, welcome to Out of Turn, another YouTube channel featuring a white guy in his 30s who likes to sit in front of his board game collection and ramble about it. My name's Justin, I'm your host, and this is episode 1 of Playback. Playback is a series where I will be discussing the games that I played in the previous month. So here we're going to talk about the games that I played in January 2021. There are 13 of them, so let's get right to it. All right, up first is going to be a group of games that I'll call Revisiting Favorites. So over the past few weeks, I've been posting videos for my top 50 board games of all time. And in the process, I was revisiting a few of those games, so I will briefly talk about those now. Won't go into a lot of detail since I just discussed them in previous videos. First up is Ticket to Ride Europe. I played it with my girlfriend and my daughter. They had not played this version of the Ticket to Ride game before. And we enjoyed it. You know, Ticket to Ride is one of our favorites. I think it was number 7 on my list. The only thing that didn't go down smooth was the push your luck aspect that's added here. When you create your connections through, you have to build tunnels basically, and you may end up having to spend more cards than you anticipated. No one was a fan of pressing their luck. We all like to be very exact and know exactly what we're planning. But other than that, it was great, just like Ticket to Ride always is. Also revisited Solenia, which is a game where you are collecting resources to complete orders and make deliveries. And the tiles that make up the play area basically go from day to night and night to day. So as you're going to different times of day, you can only visit certain cities. I like the game a lot. It's also very pretty. It was, I think, number 3 on my list. Great game, Solenia. Also revisited the Alpha, which is a game where each player is representing a wolf pack, and you are going out to hunt for your pack, and you're basically trying to do a little bit of area control for each animal. And if you have the most wolves going after a particular animal, then you win whatever meat that you earn by rolling a die. Of course, if you tie with someone, you guys have to do a quick prisoner's dilemma where you secretly vote to fight or share. And depending on how those votes go, you may win some food or you may end up injuring one of your wolves. Fun game. Played it with just the girlfriend and daughter. It was okay. It wasn't that confrontational. Played it again with a few friends. I believe there were 5 of us total. It was a lot more confrontational. Really liked it. Great game for families and for friends, the Alpha. Let's see. We also revisited Time Stories. Time Stories was my number 1 game. And we closed out our session of the Marcy case, which I think is only the second story. And we were circling back around to that one. It's a zombie outbreak story, and that was a lot of fun. Up next, I'm going to go over some kids' games. I had my nephew and nieces over recently, and we played a few games. These are games that I probably wouldn't normally talk about. So first, I'm going to talk about Jumanji. This was a game that I had as a kid, and I was surprised that it was actually still okay. I mean, it's certainly not a robust game with very much going on, but it's essentially a roll and move game. But there are a couple of elements that I like. There's a real-time element in the game. Normally I hate real-time, but in this game it's only 10 seconds at a time where you're rolling dice trying to match symbols to get your co-players out of trouble. And the only thing that we really didn't like is there's this in the jungle, you must wait until the dice read 5 or 8. And anytime you land on that space, you have to roll the dice and roll either a 5 or 8. And your pawn moves 1 space backwards each time you fail. Not a fan of that because obviously it's totally random. So you could end up really prolonging a game that way. But other than that, the nephew liked it, and we had a good time playing Jumanji. We also played a family game of Dancing Eggs. This is a game where you are trying to collect rubber eggs. And they're being bounced around the table, and they're being shoved in your armpit or in your neck. And sometimes you've got to stand up and run around and make sure you don't drop any of the eggs because you lose the eggs if you drop them. Really silly fun. I probably wouldn't play it again, but my daughter liked it enough to where she asked to keep it in the collection for now. So that was Dancing Eggs. Then we have Socken Zocken, which is a HABA game. that is essentially just an excuse for kids to run around your house. Each kid has a set of socks, and they're all different colors, but they have the same symbol on top of them. And what they're trying to do is whatever color sock is at the top of their hand, they're going to run to a box of that matching color and then drop a sock off. And it was a little confusing for the kids. It's not really that intuitive for like toddlers or young kids, the rules. Not that it's complicated, but like I said, it ended up just being an excuse for these kids to run around my house. We won't be playing that one again, unfortunately. All right, now I'm going to run through some games that I played with my game group, starting with Star Trek The Next Generation, which is a VCR game called A Klingon Challenge. And if you've ever played Nightmare or Atmosphere, which is actually right here, then you'll be familiar with the setup. This is a game where you stick a VHS in and you play the game as the tape is going. And every now and then a Klingon interrupts your game, calls you a name, tells you to do something stupid. And in this game, you're trying to basically take out the Klingon and save the Enterprise. It's not a very great game. We actually thought it was interesting that it wasn't a cooperative game, that there is a winner, because it kind of seemed like you would want to help each other. I don't know, maybe we misunderstood it. I mean, it was silly fun. We probably don't need to play it again. It was fun as a one-time experience. We also played Donner Dinner Party, which is a very short social deduction game. I think it plays like 4 to 10 people. We had 6 people playing, and it was okay. Basically, you're part of the Donner Party, and a couple of you are secretly cannibals. And so in each round, everyone's playing cards that contribute to the hunt. And of course, the cannibals are trying to sabotage the hunt because they really just want to eat their neighbors. And the leader of each round gets to look at a card that one person contributed. So it's interesting. The cannibals kind of play it safe because they know there's the chance that they're going to have their card peeked at, unless the leader of the round is another cannibal. Then, they know they're safe then. But we just found it to be okay. We're going to try it again. We played it 2 or 3 times. It seems like the game can end very quickly or without much excitement, but we're going to try it with a higher player count and see if that ratchets things up. But currently that one's on the bubble for me. We also played Afternova, which is less so on the bubble. This is a game that's got really cool artwork, and that's about as much as I can say about it. It's a game where you're drafting cards and then playing them. You're matching sets of symbols to extract gems from planets. And the big hook on the game is that you pretty much always have to convince another player to work with you to go onto a planet, because it's very rare that you're going to have all the cards necessary to do it. So, and almost literally every turn, you're having a mini negotiation. And while that was a neat hook going into the game, about halfway through, it got kind of old for all of us. There was not really a lot of wheeling and dealing. It was pretty much just, do you need that? Can I have that? Okay. And the game kind of lost its charm. Still very cool artwork. It was a one and done for me, though. All right, next I'm going to talk about my quest for my favorite Polyomino game. Baron Park was number 30 on my top 50 of all time because it was basically the only Polyomino game I had played, and I really liked that, and I decided it's time for me to find the game that really speaks to me. So the ones that I played in January were, first of all, I played New York Zoo, which is a cool game where you're using polyomino pieces to create, little animal enclosures in your zoo, and you're drafting tiles or triggering animals to reproduce in your zoo, because at a certain point, you can't add more tiles to your board unless you've completely filled up one of your enclosures with animals. At that point, you take them off, you trigger being able to continue your progress. And then the first person to completely fill up their zoo board wins. It was neat. I liked it. Probably won't be my favorite, but I definitely want to play it again. I also played Patchwork. And this was by my girlfriend's recommendation. She said she'd played the digital version several times. And we found it on sale at a half price book. So I figured, what the heck, let's try it. This is a two-player only game that works sort of similarly to New York Zoo, same designer. And you're drafting these Polyominos to complete your quilt. And the difference here is that the tiles or Polyominos, whatever you want to call them, have a cost associated with them. So there is a currency in this game. So you've got to earn buttons, which is basically, the currency. You've got to find a way to earn the amount of buttons that you need to buy the tile that you want. You can also only draft up to 3 ahead in the circle as you're moving around. And there are lots of great moments where the thing that you really, really want is 4-way. You can't quite get to it. So you're just hoping that your opponent overlooks it and maybe you'll catch it on the next go around. I liked this one a lot. I probably liked it more than New York Zoo. Very good as a 2-player game. This one's definitely staying in the collection. And the last game I'm going to talk about is Fort. Fort made a lot of top 10 lists for 2020, and I've not really played very many deck building games. And this one seemed like a theme that I could get my family on board with, my daughter and my girlfriend. So one night, my daughter and I played Fort, and it was cool. I didn't love it, but I was definitely intrigued by some of the stuff going on in it. This is a game where you're building your deck, and all of your cards are basically different friends that can come play with you and do abilities in the game. And what's neat is in each round that you play, any cards that you weren't able to play from your hand end up going in front of you, and the other players in the game have the option of drafting those cards from you on their turn. If they don't pull the card, then if no one's drafted those cards from you by the time it's your turn again, they go in your discard, they stay in your deck. But that's a really interesting mechanism. I only play this 2-player with my daughter. I definitely need to play this with 3 or 4 people to get a better sense of the meat on the bones on this game. But I liked what was going on in it. Definitely will be bringing Fort to the table again. Okay, folks, we did it. We talked about all the games I played in January of 2021. And do I have a favorite one that I played? Well, not counting the games that I've already played and were on my top 50 playlist or my top 50 board games list. I think my favorite one was Patchwork. Yeah, I mean, Patchwork's been around for a while, and it's a favorite for a reason. It was a very smooth, quick game. I'm a sucker for puzzles, and this one did it very well. Not just the puzzle of fitting everything on your board, but actually figuring out a way to pay for the tiles that you need for your board as well. I guess a close second was not a new game to me, but I hadn't played it in 20 years. I really enjoyed watching my nephew get into Jumanji. But anyway, that is it for Playback. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. I'm Justin. This is Out of Turn. See you later.